Before the wedding, I was organizing the wedding items when my boyfriend suddenly spoke up. Luna, let's postpone our wedding. I was stunned, unable to understand, and quickly asked why. It's been 10 years. I don't feel the same passion I once did when we were in love. Now, you feel more like family to me. I just can't feel the same kind of attraction for family. Let's take some time apart. I stood there, frozen, struggling to digest his words. What did he mean by not being able to feel interest for family? If you insist on marrying right away, it's not impossible, he added. After marriage, I'll give you the respect and care you deserve, but I can't promise that I'll love you the way I did before. If you agree to postpone, we can take some time apart, and when the freshness returns, we can be like we were before. I stood there, staring at the pile of wedding invitations on the table. To make the wedding more meaningful, I had personally written invitations for each close friend and family member, and I had already finished most of them. The pen hovered in midair, and for a moment, I didn't know whether I should continue or not. Postpone, until when? I asked, my voice a little hoarse. I don't know. We'll see, Ethan replied lazily, leaning against the wall, his tone indifferent, which immediately sparked my anger. Ethan, we're supposed to get married in 20 days. Don't you think it's ridiculous to say this now? He looked at me, his dark eyes emotionless, and after a long pause, he sighed. Luna, you're still the most important person to me. I don't want to lie to you. His calm demeanor made it hard for me to release my anger, and it stayed locked inside my chest. I'll explain it to our friends and family. I'm moving out today. If you need anything, call me, and I'll come right away, he said before heading to the room to pack his things. I didn't stop him. I knew once Ethan had made up his mind, there was no changing it. I just didn't understand. He had proposed to me, and we were about to hold the long-awaited wedding, so why was he backing out now? By the time Ethan finished packing and left, we hadn't exchanged another word. Half an hour after he left, I was still sitting in the living room, unable to describe how I felt. There was anger, confusion, and sadness. Ding-dong, me phone rang. It was my best friend and bridesmaid, Amelia. Hello? I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. Luna, have you seen the bridesmaid dress I sent you? Do you think I should go for the long one or the short one? The short one looks better, but the long one has more elegance. Amelia, the wedding is postponed, I interrupted her quietly. What? Why? Did something go wrong with the hotel? When are we rescheduling? No, it's Ethan. He doesn't want to get married anymore. I don't know when we'll reschedule. The wedding might not even happen. I choked on the words. There was a brief silence on the other end, then Amelia's furious voice came through. What the hell is Ethan thinking? Just like that, he says he doesn't want to get married? You've been together for 10 years, gone through so many hardships together, and now he pulls this? Yes, we had been together for 10 years. We'd spent 2 years in high school, 4 years in college, 3 years in a cross-country grad program, and 1 year living together. We'd had hysterical fights and cold wars where we didn't speak, but we never considered breaking up. We both believed that breaking up was a serious decision once it was said, there was no turning back. After all these years, just as we were about to reach the finish line, he chose to walk away. It would be a lie to say I wasn't hurt, but more than that, I felt numb. Luna, are you okay? Do you want me to come over? Amelia asked, her voice careful. I gave a bitter smile. I'm fine. It's late. Don't come over. You should rest. After hanging up, I got up, washed up, changed into my pajamas, and lay in bed. I'm someone who can accept things quickly, and in just half an hour, I felt like I had accepted the fact that Ethan wanted us to take a break. Though I accepted it, my mind was in chaos, and I couldn't sleep all night. I went to work the next day with dark circles under my eyes. For an entire week, I kept myself busy with work, hoping that the busier I was, the less I'd think about these troubling matters. But every night, I still found myself checking my WeChat for any messages from Ethan. We hadn't contacted each other in a week. It was as if whoever contacted the other first would lose, and I stubbornly didn't reach out, as if this was the only way to preserve my pride and self-respect. On Saturday morning, just 1 day before the anniversary of my dad's death, I decided to call Ethan. Every year at this time, no matter where I was, I would fly back. And Ethan, no matter how busy, would make time. We'd hold hands and go to my dad's grave together. After thinking about it for a while, I finally dialed his number. The phone rang only a few seconds before he answered. Luna? Tomorrow is my dad's anniversary. Are you still coming? I tried to keep my voice calm. There was a moment of silence on the other end before Ethan replied. Yes, same time. I'll meet you at the entrance of the cemetery. After hanging up, the calm I had been struggling to maintain began to waver. His voice, which I hadn't heard in a week, stirred the longing I had buried deep inside. Then my phone rang again, unexpectedly. I had planned to catch up on sleep, but the call jolted me awake. Hello? I answered, a little irritated. Luna? You need to come to M Square. I'm outside a steakhouse, and I think I just saw Ethan with a woman. When Amelia said that, it felt like I had been hit with a hammer. My blood seemed to freeze, and the sleepiness vanished in an instant. As I rushed over, my mind raced with questions. Who was this woman? Could she just be a colleague? Maybe a business partner? But if he was cheating, what should I do? When Amelia and I finally met up, we sat in the car, watching the two of them having lunch together. A bitter taste rose from my throat and spread to my heart. It was the worst possible answer. Ethan had cheated on me. The girl sitting across from Ethan looked young. She occasionally looked up to excitedly talk to him, and Ethan smiled back at her, even ruffling her hair. He was completely different from the calm indifference he showed me. The tender smile on his face almost blinded me. Perhaps feeling cold, the girl took a scarf from her bag and wrapped it around her neck. My fists instantly clenched, and I almost couldn't breathe. That scarf, it was the one I gave Ethan. It was my clumsy gift to him when I was in graduate school, something I had knitted for a whole week and sent across the ocean as his birthday present. To say he didn't cherish it, well, he had kept it for 4 years. But to say he did cherish it, and now, that scarf was around another woman's neck. Luna, are you okay? Amelia asked, holding my hand with concern. I shook my head, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to explode from my eyes. They're coming out. Let's follow them. Ethan took the girl's hand and got into his car. Ethan drove in front, and Amelia followed behind. Eventually, both cars stopped at the H Hotel. I tortured myself by staring as Ethan walked into the hotel, his arm around the girl's waist, never looking back. My fists were clenched so tight that my knuckles turned white. This damn jerk. Luna. Let's go up there and catch them. Amelia shouted, her voice furious. I grabbed her arm and choked out, Forget it, Amelia. Forget it. We're going back. I'm just so tired. I suddenly felt the weight of all my energy drain from my body, and an overwhelming exhaustion took over. I wasn't avoiding going up there because I didn't want to, but because I didn't dare. I didn't know how I would react if I saw it with my own eyes. My upbringing had always taught me to stay composed, and I didn't want to lose control, to turn into the kind of person I hated most. This bastard. Jerk. Shameless son of a bitch. Amelia raged as she downed another drink, and I joined her, not saying a word, just drinking one after another. Only the constant flow of alcohol could numb the unbearable pain in my heart. Luna, if you want to cry, just let it out. I'm here for you, Amelia said, her voice soft with worry. I lifted my head and forced a smile, one that looked more painful than crying, before lowering my head again and continuing to drink. I don't even know how many glasses I had before my eyelashes became wet and sticky, and the tears finally broke free, flooding down my face. The consequence of drinking all night was waking up the next morning with a splitting headache. Amelia was still next to me, sleeping like a dead pig, and I had to force myself to get up, get ready, and leave. It was the anniversary of my dad's death today. I had agreed with Ethan to meet at the cemetery at 10 a.m. I'm here, Ethan said, standing by the entrance of the cemetery in a black coat, holding a bouquet of chrysanthemums. He looked at me quietly. I nodded slightly as a greeting. We walked side by side toward my dad's grave, just like we always had before. Only this time, we weren't holding hands. I silently laid the bouquet down and began clearing the weeds. Ethan watched me for a while before softly speaking to the grave. Uncle Chen, don't worry. Luna will always be the most important person in my life. I will keep my promise and never let her be hurt. My hand froze on the gravestone, and I continued wiping it with a dry cloth. Dad, this should be the last time I bring Ethan to see you. Don't worry, I'll be fine without him. I'll eat well, sleep well. Though it's a bit of a regret that Ethan can't be your son-in-law, it's okay. I'll walk my own path from now on. You know, your daughter is strong. I said that silently in my heart. Where are you going? I'll drive you, Ethan said, standing by the gate of the cemetery, his hands in his coat pockets. I paused as I was about to hail a cab. No need. I'm planning to take a taxi, I replied. Ethan smiled lightly. Luna, don't be so distant. Even though we're taking a break for now, I'm still the closest person to you, aren't I? I didn't know what to say, so I just got into the passenger seat. The whole drive was silent, and the air in the car was thick with awkward tension. I never imagined that one day, Ethan and I would have such an awkward moment. Maybe the silence was unbearable for Ethan too, as he spoke up first. Today, Lucas and the others are back in the country. I'm having dinner with them tonight. I looked at him and paused before replying, oh. Lucas was a friend of Ethan's, someone I had met a few times before, but clearly, I wasn't interested in the conversation. I glanced down, and my eyes caught a glimpse of a hair tie with Winnie the Pooh on it in the gap between the seat and the door. It wasn't mine. Ethan followed my gaze and saw the hair tie too. It's one of my interns. One time it rained, and I gave her a ride. She must have left it behind then. Before I could ask, Ethan had already explained. I simply nodded and said nothing. Ethan seemed to be upset that I wasn't reacting, though I didn't even know what he was angry about. We arrived at the apartment building in silence, and just as I was about to enter the complex, Ethan called out to me. Luna. I turned around. Ethan had lit a cigarette and was leaning against the car door. Forget it. It's nothing. Eat well, don't stay up too late. With that, he stepped into the car and drove off. What's wrong with him? That night, I was packing up all the wedding items into a cardboard box, ready to throw everything away, when my phone rang at the most inopportune moment. Hello? Sister-in-law, it's Lucas. Ethan's drunk. Can you come pick him up? You guys can just take him home, I replied. We've all been drinking, so we can't drive. We're all using ride-hailing services, and we don't know where you live. How about you send me your location, and we'll send him over? I thought for a moment. I didn't know where Ethan was living right now, and I didn't really want him staying here. Send me the location. I'll come over. I quickly grabbed some clothes and left. When I arrived, Lucas was clinking glasses with some friends nearby, while Ethan had already passed out on the table, completely unconscious. Hey, sister-in-law, you're here, Lucas greeted me. I nodded at him and went over to help Ethan up, but Lucas hurried over to help me. Sorry, sister-in-law. We haven't seen Ethan in a while, so we let him drink a bit too much, he apologized. By the way, I still haven't congratulated you guys on your wedding. 10 years of love, that's no small feat. I'll make sure to send a big red envelope when you get married. Yeah, we thought you two would break up after graduation, another friend chimed in. We didn't expect you to really go all the way to marriage. Well, that's you, I never thought that. I always thought Ethan and sister-in-law would get married. Back then, their relationship was one of the few good ones. Ha ha ha, you're right, Lucas laughed. Ethan didn't tell you? The wedding's been cancelled. My words struck like thunder, and the room instantly fell silent. It seemed my statement was too unexpected. Lucas and his friends froze, unsure of how to react, their awkwardness palpable. I didn't say anything else, just dragged Ethan out of the door. Since I didn't know where Ethan was living, I booked a hotel room for him. The 150-pound man exhausted me to the point of gasping for breath. I threw him onto the bed and tried to leave, but as soon as I turned around, a large hand grabbed me, pulling me down onto him. Ethan opened his blurry eyes and glanced at me. Wife, my head is spinning, he mumbled. For a moment, I was lost in thought. Ethan used to always call me wife like that. I had teased him once, saying, we're not even married yet, and you're already calling me wife? He had shrugged and said, so what? You'll be my wife sooner or later. Back then, he probably never imagined that one day he would be the one to push me away. Ding, my thoughts were interrupted by the sound of Ethan's phone ringing. When I threw him onto the bed, his phone fell out of his pants pocket. I glanced at the screen. The message was from someone saved as wife, but the profile picture wasn't mine, it was the girl who had been with him that day. The message read, "What should I do, Ethan? I'm pregnant." My blood rushed to my head, and my heart felt like it was being eaten alive by thousands of ants. The words on the screen burned through my eyes, and without thinking, I grabbed his phone, desperate to uncover everything. The phone was locked. I tried his birthday, but it didn't work. I tried his bank card PIN, but that didn't work either. I hesitated for a moment, then entered my own birthday. It unlocked. I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. What was this? I opened their chat history and read through their messages one by one. Every word, every line, reeked of the affection between two people madly in love. It turned out, they had been together for 6 months. I opened the girl's Moments social media feed. Most of the posts were perfect depictions of a woman's idealized view of love. The brown sugar water that Ethan makes is the best. After drinking it, my relatives stopped bothering me. I have a small home, a cat, and you. The picture was of a couple's shadow under streetlights. When I was sick outside, my parents didn't have to worry anymore because I had someone to take me to the doctor. The picture showed their intertwined hands, and on the man's finger was a matching couple's ring. The matching women's ring was still on my finger. I checked the dates on these posts. They were from May 13th, the same day we tried on wedding dresses and finalized our wedding plans. No wonder, no wonder. We were negotiating with the wedding planner, and Ethan suddenly became very anxious, saying he had an urgent matter at work, then left in a hurry. I was left alone to finalize the dress style and make all the decisions for the wedding. Looking back now, my blind trust had completely blinded me. I glared at Ethan's face, and after a wave of intense nausea in my chest, I forced myself to calm down. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and slowly removed the wedding ring, placing it on his bedside table. Ethan, I don't want you anymore. We're completely done. It was bloody and painful to rip out someone who had been in my heart for 10 years. So painful that I needed alcohol to numb the ache. I sat on a small stool, drinking one glass after another, faster and more aggressively than I had the night I was with Amelia. Hey, girl, drinking like that's bad for your health. How about I get you a couple of skewers to help you out? The owner of the barbecue shop said, looking at me with concern. I waved him off and gave an okay sign. Boss, 2 more bottles. Girl, look at how much you've drunk already. I can't sell you any more. Besides, it's almost midnight, and we're closing up. Should I call you a cab? I looked at my phone screen. It really was almost midnight. I declined the owner's offer and unsteadily stood up. The road in front of me seemed to split into 2. I shook my head, planning to head to the intersection to hail a cab home. In my daze, I seemed to have bumped into someone. Then everything spun out of control, and I lost consciousness completely. Ouch, my head hurts. I held my head as I sat up, frowning at the discomfort of a hangover. Buzz buzz buzz. I reached under my pillow for my phone, but it wasn't there. I turned my head to look, and immediately froze. This pillow wasn't mine. I quickly glanced around the room, a spacious bedroom with a gray and black color scheme. I was stunned. This wasn't my home. I glanced down. The clothes I had on yesterday had been swapped out for a white men's loungewear top. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. The phone was still buzzing. I picked it up from the nightstand. It was Ethan calling. Luna, were you the one who took me to the hotel yesterday? I saw the ring you left behind. Yes, it was me, I replied, rubbing my forehead. Luna, there's something I want to tell you. Go ahead. I think we're not a good match after all. Let's break up. Even if we can't be husband and wife, you'll always be important to me. You can think of me as your brother. Fine, I cut him off. What did you say? My response seemed to catch Ethan off guard, and he hesitated for a moment, which was rare for him. I said, we're breaking up. The ring wasn't left behind, I threw it away. That's it. Goodbye. I hung up the phone. I had no patience to argue with Ethan right now. Instead, I looked up to see a man standing in the doorway. He was holding a cup of coffee, leaning against the doorframe lazily, dressed in gray loungewear that matched mine. You're awake? Wash up and have breakfast. There are new toiletries in the bathroom. Oh. Dazed, I got up, washed, and sat down at the dining table like a ghost. Yesterday, did we? I ventured. Yesterday, you were quite the handful. Huh? My face must have turned a spectacular shade of green if there was a mirror. The man chuckled softly. Last night, a certain anonymous young lady thought it wise to bump into me. And after that, she puked all over me, grabbed my leg, and wailed, refusing to let me go. In order to make sure she wasn't left vulnerable on the street, I had no choice but to bring her home. He said it all so casually, and I buried my face in embarrassment. Don't worry. My housekeeper helped change your clothes, and you slept in the guest room. If you have no more questions, then let's eat. Okay. I kept my head down like an ostrich as I ate. So, my clothes are. The housekeeper took them to wash, but they're not back yet. The man watched me with interest, making my ears feel hot. Raphael? Huh? Raphael? That's my name. Oh? I'm Luna. Right. Let's add each other on WeChat so I can let you know when your clothes are ready. Sure. I handed him my WeChat QR code, then made a hasty escape home. Before leaving, I couldn't help but peek at his social media feed. The latest post was from midnight. Picked up a stray kitten, pretty cute. The picture was of me, sprawled out on the curb in a completely undignified position, hair plastered across my face. That jerk. That evening, Raphael texted me for my address and dropped my clothes off at the building entrance. I quickly dressed and went downstairs. Have you eaten? He asked. Yes, I have. I reached out to take the bag. Then how about a walk? It's not great to sit on a full stomach. Raphael's eyes sparkled with amusement. It was strange this man had a face that looked dangerous despite its handsomeness, but his words were so gentle that they were impossible to refuse. I agreed against my better judgment. It was a bit chilly that evening, as winter was setting in. I was wrapped in Raphael's scarf, and he carried my clothes bag. Our hands brushed occasionally as we walked close together, and it sent a strange warmth through me. After the walk, as I got home, I realized I'd forgotten to return his scarf. Now I'd have to go give it back. I forgot to return your scarf. I'll bring it over after work tomorrow. I texted him. No need, I'll come pick it up. I'll be there to get you after work tomorrow. His reply came instantly. Somehow, I found myself wondering how he could drive and type at the same time. Bit by bit, I became closer to Raphael. Every day, he would share something about his life, sending a good morning and good night without fail. Sometimes after work, I'd find him waiting outside my office, claiming it was on his way. He'd suggest dinner, then take me home. But I knew that was nonsense. Our houses were in opposite directions, not even remotely on the way. Couldn't he think of a better excuse? Without realizing it, I'd stopped thinking about the mess with Ethan. One day, I was devouring takeout with Amelia when my phone chimed. This movie has good reviews. Want to go see it? It was Raphael. Seconds later, as if he was afraid I wouldn't answer, he added, today's my birthday. Turning him down felt a bit too heartless. Noticing that I'd been staring at my phone without moving, Amelia snatched it from my hand. Hey, who's this? And why is he asking you to a movie? Are you seeing someone behind my back? It's the guy I told you about, the one who saved me that night. No way. Amelia gasped. Then what are you waiting for? I'll say yes for you. She typed out a quick sure before I could stop her. Great. I'll pick you up at 3, he replied almost immediately. Amelia jumped up and dragged me to my room. Hurry, 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 we don't have much time. What's going on? You're going on a date. You can't go out with him without getting dolled up. Today's the day you bag him for good. Fueled with excitement, Amelia started putting foundation, eyeshadow, and powder on me like she was creating a masterpiece. She even raided my closet, trying on every dress she could find. Finally, she settled on white heels and a soft yellow woolen dress. Wow, it's no wonder you were the school beauty. When you get dressed up, there's no one like you, she said with satisfaction, admiring her handiwork. I looked at myself in the mirror, feeling a bit dazed. It's true, I hadn't really taken care of myself for a while. Maybe, it was time to start a new chapter. When it was time, I headed downstairs, and Raphael was already waiting outside in his car. I had no idea how long he'd been there. From the moment I got in and buckled my seatbelt, his gaze never left me. "What is it?" I asked. "Nothing, I was just dazzled by the beautiful lady beside me." He turned his head to start the car, a slight smile tugging at his lips. "You're too kind. But this gentleman is quite charming himself," I replied with a chuckle. Raphael's hair was neatly styled, his casual clothes pristine without a single wrinkle, and the car was filled with a faint scent of cologne. He had clearly put in effort today. The music in the car played softly, a clear voice floating into my ears, and even the sunlight streaming through the window felt gentle. We arrived at the cinema 20 minutes before the movie started. I hadn't worn heels in a while, and already my feet were aching. "What do you want to eat?" "Popcorn and a Coke." "All right, you go find a place to sit. I'll be right back." I looked toward the waiting area. There were only 2 seats left, but we'd have to share a table with someone else. Looking closer, I saw the 2 people sitting there were Ethan and his girlfriend. The girl was leaning against Ethan, and they were laughing as they watched something on his phone. Small world. For the sake of my feet, I walked over anyway. "Excuse me, are these seats free?" "They are," the girl replied instinctively. Ethan looked up, and our eyes met. "Well, if it isn't Ethan. What a coincidence. This must be your girlfriend, right?" "I'm Luna, Ethan's adopted sister." "Oh hi, I'm Sophia." I politely extended my hand, and the girl shook it. Ethan rubbed his temples. "Luna, stop playing around. You don't need to follow me." No. You're misunderstanding things. I'm just here to watch a movie, that's all." Ethan didn't seem convinced and was about to say something, but I had already pulled out my phone to watch a variety show. He stared at me, his gaze darkening, while the girl looked at him, confused. None of us said anything. "Let's go. They're about to start ticketing." Raphael touched my head with the hand holding the popcorn, and I took it naturally, not sparing a glance at Ethan as Raphael and I walked side by side into the theater. I thought running into Ethan at the same movie was coincidence enough. But it turned out we had even bought tickets in the same row and seats right next to each other. Now Ethan was on my left, and Raphael on my right. I wanted to disappear. I barely paid attention to the movie, and the air conditioning was chilly. I rubbed my arms to warm up, and Raphael immediately took off his coat, draping it over me. "That's what you get for prioritizing style over comfort," he teased. I playfully pinched his arm, making him flinch. Ethan's expression was unreadable, but his stare was intense enough to make me uncomfortable. Finally, the movie ended. On the way to the restroom, Ethan grabbed me and pulled me to the side. "Luna, who is he? Why should you care? We only broke up a few days ago, and you're already with someone new? Or were you with him before we broke up?" Ethan was clearly agitated, drawing the attention of passers-by. "Stop it, Ethan. Don't project what you did onto me," I said coldly. "Just because I haven't said anything doesn't mean I don't know. I was only trying to end things with a bit of dignity for our 10 years together." When did you find out?" Ethan's eyes held a hint of shock. "It doesn't matter anymore, Ethan. Just like you said, I'll think of you as a brother. But if it's not necessary, let's not meet." I turned to leave, but he grabbed me again. "Even if I'm your brother, I still need to know who he is. I promised your dad I wouldn't let you get hurt. What if he—" "That's enough, Ethan." I couldn't take it anymore. "Weren't you the one hurting me all along?" He was stunned by my outburst. "You cheated before our wedding and kept up the charade for half a year. Was it exhausting? All those excuses about feeling like family or not being exciting enough just to cover up your cheating. I should be thankful you called off the wedding. Marrying you would have been worse than eating a bug. Since we broke up, nothing about me concerns you. If you want to be a brother, keep your boundaries." I glanced at Sophia coming out of the restroom and walked away. Ethan started to stop me but hesitated and dropped his hand. In the car, Raphael drummed his fingers lightly on the steering wheel. No explanation? Great, he'd seen it all. I had no choice but to explain the situation. Raphael kept tapping his fingers rhythmically. "Don't worry. Everyone's been blind a time or two." Just as I sighed with relief, he added, "But being blind for 10 years is pretty rare." At least your eyesight now is better. Raphael's smile had a hint of amusement. I wasn't sure if he was talking about himself or something else, so I turned away without responding. Suddenly, the car felt warm, and I had a slight itch in my throat. Raphael took me to a high-end private restaurant, and I picked up a small birthday cake on the way. Before cutting the cake, I insisted that Raphael make a wish. With a slight reluctance, he closed his eyes and clasped his hands together. Done? Yeah. All right, blow out the candles. Aren't you going to ask what I wished for? Raphael blew out the candles. Why would I? You're not supposed to say it out loud, or it won't come true. Really? I think some wishes only come true if you say them out loud. I looked into Raphael's eyes, feeling something unspoken between us, my heart pounding. Luna, my wish is that the woman celebrating my birthday with me today could stay by my side. I'm not the type to cheat before marriage. Once I choose someone, it's for life. All sound around us seemed to stop. I stared deeply at Raphael for a long time, then sat up straight. Raphael. I just ended a 10-year relationship. And? I'm not sure if I'm over it yet. Raphael stayed silent. I gave him a small smile. However, I'm willing to give it a try with you. It was like a firefly had flown into a summer night. His eyes lit up. Though I've been hurt badly by love before, I can't deny that love is truly a beautiful thing. I'm grateful that I still have the ability to love. If I were to choose someone to spend my life with now, I'd hope that person is you. So, please take care of me, boyfriend. I reached my hand out to Raphael. Raphael chuckled, grabbed my hand, and somehow pulled out a platinum ring with a diamond, slipping it onto my middle finger. Today, you call me boyfriend. Someday soon, you'll be calling me husband. I didn't have to wait for the future. By that night, he had me calling him over and over. His stamina was like an animal's, relentless, going on until the middle of the night. Sunlight slipped in through the loosely drawn curtains, waking me up. I pushed myself up with my arms, feeling a dull ache in my lower back. I was barely halfway up when a pair of strong arms pulled me back into his bare chest. It's still early. So sleepy. Let's sleep a bit longer. Let me hold you, he murmured. I wrapped my arm around Raphael's waist and closed my eyes, settling back in. But before I could drift off again, my phone started ringing. I answered it, annoyed. Hello? Luna, why didn't you come home last night? Where did you spend the night? I hung up without a word, buried myself in Raphael's embrace again, and shut my eyes. A second later, my eyes shot open. What day is it today? Monday, he replied, half awake. Why? I practically leaped out of bed. 15 minutes later, I was sitting in the passenger seat of Raphael's car, hurriedly eating a bun I'd grabbed from a street vendor on the way. Good thing your place is only 10 minutes from my office, or I'd miss out on my perfect attendance for the month. Raphael propped his head on one hand, holding the wheel with the other. Afraid your husband can't afford to take care of you? You're worried about that attendance bonus? Right. I rolled my eyes. Look, your husband's place is so close to your office. Why don't you move in? I'll make sure you get that bonus every month. Such a tempting offer. I nodded eagerly and immediately agreed. During the day, Ethan kept calling. Annoyed, I blocked him. After work, I planned to grab some clothes from home before going back to Raphael's place. As soon as I opened the door, there was Ethan, sitting in the living room with a dark expression. You still remembered to come home? Just getting some clothes. I walked straight to my room, with Ethan following behind. Where were you last night? Why didn't you come back? He demanded, louder. Ignoring him, I kept grabbing clothes from the wardrobe. Ethan grabbed my arm abruptly. Answer me. Were you with that man? I frowned, his grip tightening as his eyes landed on my ring. The pressure made me wince. Where'd you get this ring? Did he give it to you? Ethan, you know full well we're broken up. You have no right to question my choices. I pulled my arm free, only to have Ethan push me against the wall, making my back tingle. My neckline slipped a bit, revealing faint bruises. His eyes turned red. You actually? Are you that shameless? I adjusted my neckline. We're dating now. What's the problem? Luna. We just broke up. Ethan's voice was strained. So? At least I'm in a proper relationship. Not like some people who cheated and got someone pregnant. I gave him a mocking smile, and he froze. That was an accident. Doesn't matter. Ethan, I know you truly like Sophia. She probably doesn't know about us yet, right? If you care for her, treasure her, don't mess this up the way you did with me. I broke away from him and started packing my things. As I passed him, he grabbed my wrist lightly and muttered, "How could you let go of 10 years so easily? How can you just move on and love someone else like that?" I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. "Not as quickly as you did. You managed to find someone else without even turning around." I continued to walk forward, his voice breaking as he called out behind me. "Luna, if I said I regretted it, if I left her and married you like we planned, would you come back?" I hesitated briefly. "No. After 10 years, you feel more like an older brother to me now. I just don't feel that way about family." I heard him choke back a sob as I left without looking back. Late that night, I lay exhausted in bed, with Raphael's arm wrapped around my waist. I picked up my phone to check the time and saw a new friend request on WeChat. It was Sophia. Confused, I accepted it. "Do you have time to meet tomorrow for lunch? I'll be at the cafe in M Plaza." What could this be, some sort of confrontation? I hesitated, but responded, "Sure." The next day, I arrived on time, finding Sophia already there. I pulled out the chair and sat down across from her. She looked weary, with red, puffy eyes, as if she'd been crying recently. "Is there something you wanted to talk about?" Sophia looked at me with tear-filled eyes, as red as a rabbit's. "Luna, I'm so sorry. I really am. I had no idea Ethan was with you for 10 years. I didn't mean to ruin your relationship, I truly didn't know." Sophia started to cry again. "I feel terrible. I caused you so much pain. If I'd known about you too, I would never have agreed to date him." I looked at Sophia closely. Her distress seemed genuine. I sighed. "How did you find out?" "Last night. Ethan came home drunk, mumbling your name. I knew something was wrong. While he was passed out, I unlocked his phone with his fingerprint and read your old messages with him. I just couldn't believe it. I had no idea things were like this." She covered her face and sobbed harder. I handed her a tissue. "It's not your fault. The blame lies with Ethan." She took the tissue, wiping her eyes messily. "What are you going to do next?" "I'm breaking up with him," Sophia said with determination. "What about the baby?" I don't know." Her shoulders slumped further. "When I first found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. But the more I thought about it, the more I started to look forward to this little one. I thought, naively, that I'd have a happy family." I took a sip of water. "Sophia, I hope you'll think this through. If you decide to end things, consider what it would mean for the child if you keep it. Of course, I'll respect your choice, whether you keep it or not. If you need help with anything, feel free to come to me." "Thank you, Luna. Really, thank you." Sophia looked at me, her eyes filled with tears, as if she was about to kneel in gratitude. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar voice sounded at the door. "Luna?" It was Ethan. He strode toward us, his frown deep enough to kill a fly. I thought he was going to confront me, but instead, he stood protectively in front of me and said to Sophia, "Sophia, what are you doing? Who told you to bother Luna? If you're angry, direct it at me. Leave her out of this." His tone was as cold as when he'd postponed our wedding. Sophia stood there, stunned, disbelief in her eyes. I let out a bitter laugh. "Ethan, after 10 years together, it feels like today is the first time I'm truly seeing you." He turned to me, looking lost and uncertain. "Luna," I ignored Ethan and looked directly at Sophia. "I meant what I said. If you need help, you can always come to me." Then I walked past them both and headed toward the door. "Sophia, what did you say to Luna?" Following Ethan's angry tone came the sharp sound of a slap. "Ethan. You heartless bastard. I'm breaking up with you." I smirked. Even rabbits bite when pushed to the limit. Then, I stepped into the car that had been waiting for me outside. "All done?" Raphael asked. "Yes, it's over now. If your ex keeps bothering you, I might have to go show him some manly charm," Raphael joked. I laughed, giving him a playful punch. Always with the smooth talk. After that day, I moved in with Raphael completely. I went to work as usual, and in the evenings, I'd curl up with Raphael to watch a good movie. Now and then, I'd see a familiar figure lingering outside my office or Raphael's building. Each time, he would stand there quietly, smoking for a while, then leave without a word. Since he didn't approach me, I paid him no mind. Sophia later sent me a message on WeChat, saying that she'd taken 200,000 from Ethan and gone to the hospital to end the pregnancy. She planned to return to her hometown and wouldn't come back. I told her to focus on recovering and take care of her health. One night, I got a call from Lucas. Luna, Ethan's drinking like there's no tomorrow. Can you come and talk to him? Please don't call me sister-in-law anymore, we broke up a long time ago. Whatever he's going through now has nothing to do with me. Luna, Ethan really regrets what happened. You've been together for so many years, could you give him another chance? No, thank you. My boyfriend would be jealous. There was a brief silence, followed by a sigh, and then the call ended. I promptly blocked his number and went to bring pajamas to a certain forgetful man in the shower. Since then, Ethan's presence never crossed my path again. Another year passed, and it was time for my father's memorial. I brought Raphael to the grave. He earnestly offered incense, bowed 3 times, took my hand, and said, "Sir, it's nice to meet you. My name is Raphael. Luna and I are going to get our marriage certificate tomorrow. From now on, she'll always be my top priority. I'll stay by her side for life, and we'll share the same grave in death." I squeezed Raphael's hand, and then I softly said, "Dad, this time, I won't choose wrong. If you're watching over us, please give us your blessing." The sky, drizzling moments before, suddenly cleared, revealing a brilliant rainbow. How wonderful the storm had passed.